Buffalo Bills played a great game yesterday against the Cleveland Browns. Had to play the game in Detroit due to all of the snow that they're getting in Buffalo right now. I live about an hour away from Orchard Park, and we got absolutely no snow. But they got over 71 inches there at Orchard Park, so definitely couldn't play football over there. The Bills came out slow, and they looked like they were tired, probably from shoveling so much snow and trying to figure out how they were even going to get to the game. They just looked a little worn out and not ready. Plus, they hadn't even practiced all week. They had sickness, like some sort of a flu bug or something going through the team on Monday, so they couldn't practice that day. And then they couldn't practice due to the snow. And, it was a hard week to get off and get going and get into the flow of the game. So they did get going after a shaky start and put the game away. We got a little scary at the end with an onside kick that went off Davis's hands, but really the game was at hand most of the way. And what did we learn from this game? Well, I think what we learned from this game is to go back from the last game and look at what we said we needed to learn. Did we learn those lessons against the Vikings and take them on to the Browns? So the lessons that we tried to learn from that game so that we would not repeat them, like we said in the last video after the Vikings game, we didn't want to repeat those mistakes. So, again, we don't blame the refs. The refs did have a harder game in this game. They struggled, made some questionable pass interference calls and holding calls, but there was a lot of flags in this game, and the Bills need to just clean that stuff up. We can't have as many penalties, and we can never blame the refs, so we don't want to have those penalties. In the first half of the Vikings game, we were running the ball well, short passes, it was working well. We get down to the red zone, we had troubles, and we turned over the ball. This game, the entire game, and maybe even better in the second half. They learned from the first half and did better in the second half. Running, short passes, take the check down, and don't turn the ball over in the red zone. Along with that, the game's not over till it's over was another lesson we wanted to learn. And that really scared me towards the end of the game when the national announcer said we're going to put this game in the win column before the game was over for the Bills in the standings. Yeah, I thought that was going to come back to bite us. But as a Bills fan, I know it's not over until it's over. Don't be saying stuff like that. Kick the field goal was the next thing we needed to learn. And we did. 6 field goals, all good by Bass, showing how great of a kicker he is, especially indoors, I believe. And boy, would this current Bills roster be a great dome stadium or what? Think about that as we move into the future of building a new stadium that apparently is not going to be a dome. The next thing was knock the ball down. As we remember, Cam Lewis hadn't learned that lesson for whatever reason. Not trying to push any blame on Cam or whatever, but he didn't knock the ball down. Jefferson, he actually seemed to help Jefferson make that big catch that everybody's calling the best catch of the year. And they learned that lesson because Jordan Poyer was in there for him. And they had a long pass to a tight end. It was a little high. The tight end went up to catch the ball. Jordan Poyer didn't knock it down. He timed the hit and knocked the tight end down. He clocked him. And that's another great way a safety can make that play. Jordan Poyer made it. And like I had been telling a bunch of people, Jordan Poyer would have probably made that play the week before. So knock the ball down. They learned that lesson. Take what the defense is giving you in the red zone was another lesson. I already really addressed that. Josh Allen did a great job of taking what the defense was giving him to the point that I think it might have started to make Diggs a little upset because he's used to trying to get open on two players on him. But we got to take what the defense is giving us. And eventually, you know what taking the defense gives you? Diggs ends up wide open in back of the end zone for a touchdown. Wide open for that touchdown. And then, like always, we got to move on to the next game. So we move on to the Detroit Lions. And, well, before I do that, I want to mention Matt Milano. What a great game by Matt Milano. I mean, I think he had 12 tackles, a fumble recovery, constant pressure, and a sack. I mean, that's a great game. He had a great game. He was all over the place, dominating. And I know some people have been on Dotson that he didn't perform as well as Edmonds might have. I mean, he is the backup. But Dotson had 13 tackles, 9 solo tackles. Sure, there was a couple plays where he might have been able to make a better play. But, I mean, there's a lot of players on the team that could say that each and every week. So, I'm not going to blame Dotson for anything. I'll take a 13 tackle game. Poyer played great, and the Bills found a running game. How about that? 2 running backs with 86 yards rushing. Both of them had 86 yards. That's a great game. If we can keep running the ball like I've been wanting to do, especially in the red zone, then I think that's really going to help open up things with the pass. The defense is not going to be able to just cue on the pass. They're going to have to worry about the run. You know, I think that's the biggest key for the Bills moving forward. They also got Dawson Knox, as I see him over my shoulder here. Dawson Knox involved in the play more. Getting the ball to Dawson Knox. And he's been open on those checkdowns this year at various times, and we just didn't throw it to him. Now they're doing it. I hope he continues to do it. I hope the team continues to do it. I hope Josh Allen continues to go to the checkdowns too when they're open. Take what the defense is giving you. If they want to give you the long pass, take the long pass. You've got the arm. But if they're not giving it to you, don't be afraid to take that check down. Now we'll move on to Detroit. As we go back to Detroit, again this week, this time to face the Detroit Lions, a team that's playing really well. They have won a couple of games in a row, and they're a much better team than what their record shows. And they never, ever stop playing. And as far as their running back, they got a running back that's leading the NFL right now. I think he has 10 rushing touchdowns. He leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns. So we're going to have to step up there. And the Bills did a great job on 4th down again in this last game. So hopefully we'll continue to do that. The defense playing in strong, and they shut down Nick Chubb in this game. Hunt had a little bit of a few yards, I guess, but Chubb got shut down completely, and he's been averaging over 100 yards a game. So defense did great there, and hopefully they'll continue to do that as we face the Detroit Lions. Big game coming up. On the injury front, we do have a few injuries. I don't think Elam or Edmonds are going to be able to come back with this short week to play. Hopefully both of them do, but can really use them, or Rousseau for that matter. I think we're going to be missing Rousseau. All these guys that have been out, just this short week is probably too quick to be able to pull them back. If they couldn't play on Sunday, they're probably not going to be able to play on Thursday. And then new injuries. I know that Mitch Morris, that's the one that's the scariest one to me. Mitch Morris at center. We need that center. Every time they brought in a backup center, they've had a little bit of trouble with exchanges. Not a big deal, but just that little second off can really cause a whole play to be off. And Mitch Morris is a great blocker, pulling too, so we need him in the lineup. And I know we've got a couple of other guys hurt. Epinesa is hurt as well. And, I think we've got other good defensive ends that can fill in for him. But with Russo out, having Epinesa out too, makes Boogie Basham and some of the other defensive ends need to just step up. It's their time to do it. So hopefully they have a great game. And Quisenberry is the other one that is injured. I guess he got hurt late in the game against the Browns. And now I don't know whether I guess he's limited in practice. So we'll see what he can do. But I think we've got other offensive linemen that can play right tackle and right guard, that he won't have to be as big a miss as Mitch Morris would be. So, anyway, we're moving on to Detroit. We take one game at a time. Let's have a big victory this week. Knock on wood. And always remember, win, lose, or draw, God loves you. And so do I!